All right, folks. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Bucks of America podcast. I am your host, Jeff Vance. Now, every year, about this time of year, I always do something with the Bowhunting League because of their notoriety, their community, their what they've kind of been doing is groundbreaking from anybody else that's really out there. And we're going to ask some pretty good questions here. But Ben thought it'd be a good idea here about 3 weeks back to have the ladies behind the Bowhunting League. Now, all three of these ladies have a primary objective that have really helped Ben and Matt out to take some weight off of their shoulders to kind of bring Bowhunting League into the next level for him. So this way then he can enjoy his life, because we all know when you're building something, it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy to go from point A to point B to point C. So the questions that I have, I have a list of them here. So my guests tonight, I have Lori, Rachel, and Becca. I want to make sure we got that correct, because Becca does not like her maiden or her traditional name. So we'll get that squared away here. So getting it right off the get-go here, as whoever wants to start, we have three here. Where are y'all from?
I'll start.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lori. I am from Lucinda, Pennsylvania. It's Western Pennsylvania. So basically, we are literally 2 hours between Erie and Pittsburgh. I'm just outside of Cook Forest. I'm outside of Allegheny National Forest. I have never left the town. I am a Lucindian diehard. My family owns a local gun shop, Route 66 Sporting Goods. We are one of the sponsors of the Bowhunting League as well. So I've been there since we got the store back. Long story. So I've been there for 19 years this year. And I don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I am born and raised in Pennsylvania as well, in Western PA. I'm actually originally from Butler, which is about an hour and a half from Pittsburgh. I recently moved to the Clarion Mayport area, so now I'm only 45 minutes away from Lori. And that's about it. We've always lived in the country areas and always been outdoorsy out here in Pennsylvania, and yeah.
All right, Becca.
Well, I'm Becca, and if you can't tell from my awful accent, I'm from South Alabama, southern Mississippi area. I moved to Tennessee about 8 years ago, and I married my husband. And we live in a little bitty speck on the map town, so we get all the country living out here.
Oh, wow. That'd be nice.
You think so until you need something, and then you got to drive 45 minutes somewhere to get it.
Yeah, we're only like 20 minutes from town, so it's not too bad.
But it is nice. I really love where we live.
That's great to hear. So then it's nice to hear that you guys have all kind of maintained as a staple of you guys, all of your communities and such. So I boomed around. I've been all across this country. I've lived down in Oregon. I've lived in Nevada. I've lived in Arizona and Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, all the way out to spend some time even in Wyoming and Colorado. So I've had a chance to be a very transient lifestyle. Now I'm actually call Wisconsin home just because I like the climate. I like the opportunities to go hunting, and it is literally the outdoorsman's mecca when it comes down to hunting and fishing and duck hunting. Like, we got the best of everything. Especially we got one of our premier sponsors, HHA, which is I read through Ben's post earlier today that he said it's because I was able to put him and Chris Ham together. It's kind of blossomed into a beautiful spider web. I'm gonna steal something from Chris, because Chris is always known to introduce people to grow each other's spider webs and just keep on building and building and building. So that's what I am. I like to build the communities. It's just kind of how it all works in my world here. So the next question for you ladies, like, why did you guys start hunting?
Out of spite.
So tell me, why is it out of spite, Becca?
Okay. So here's what happened. I I had picked up archery with my husband about 2 years ago. He took me along with him to a 3D shoot, and I was his backpacker. I carried his stuff all over the dang course, and I was like, if I'm going to be doing this, I want to also participate and shoot. So I picked up archery, just 3D shoots in the beginning, and then I got to where I just loved to shoot and wondered if I had the skill to be able to actually go take an animal. And at first I was like, I was on the fence about it. I've never liked hunting a whole lot, but I was still really curious about trying it for myself. And my husband was like, you will never kill an animal. You won't do it. You won't get out there. And that immediately set me off to, I was going to go kill a deer or some animal. It didn't matter what kind at that point. So, and he said, I said, okay, I'll go with you. And he's like, no, I'm not taking you. So then I was like, well, fine, I'll go by myself. So I ended up, the first time I went bow hunting, I went with my mother-in-law. She actually took me. So we get to hold that over his head. And I didn't get a deer that time. I went a couple of more times and ended up getting my first doe at the end of December. And so I was pretty proud of that.
Heck yeah. So how long you've been hunting then?
3 months at that point when I shot that doe.
So did you start like in 20?
I started 3D course, I think, at the very beginning of 2021, and then started hunting at the end of the year. I waited. I think I went on my first hunting trip in November
Of 2021. So while you've only had a very short amount of time getting behind the string then. So what are some of, what went through your mind when the doe showed up and gave you an opportunity?
Oh, I completely blanked. That was the weirdest thing. I was like full drawn and I was ready to shoot and I completely forgot everything I had learned up until that point. And it was like, I panicked because I didn't know. I was like, well, should I shoot? Can I shoot? I don't think I can shoot. Like I literally could not let go of my release at that point. And finally something clicked and I was able to finally get my release back far enough that I shot, and I thought I had missed her because when I shot, I did not realize that deer dropped so low and could turn so fast. So I actually, I sat there for a few minutes because I was like, I completely missed her. And I texted my husband. I was like, I just shot at a deer. I missed it. He was like, are you sure? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. And he's like, well, go ahead and get down and go look. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I get down and I walk over there and I have him on the phone and I was like, there's nothing here. And about the time I said here, I found this giant like splatter pattern across the ground. And I was like, oh, apparently I did hit her. And so I got super excited and I was freaking out. And I was like, I have no idea where she's gone. I've had a pretty decent shot on her from what I could tell. So he came over there and helped me track her down. And she laid, I think maybe 50 yards, maybe.
Oh man, that's a great shot placement for yourself. So whose voice was in your head at the time you pulled that trigger?
There was nothing.
Really?
Silent. There was nothing there. Like when I needed to remember like my mechanics and where to anchor and anything, it was nothing. It was dead silence. The one time I needed my brain to be talking to me was nothing.
That's awesome. I had a podcast with Kayla and Julie here a few weeks back, and they both said their husbands were going through their mind about how to anchor, how to draw back, make sure I breathe, all this stuff. And it's like, I was kind of curious, like who was in your head when you drew back?
Nobody. The only time that at one point that I was actually hunting out of a saddle and I was not very high. And the only time I remember somebody's voice in my head was the doe came and ran up behind me and I could not see her. And in my head, this deer is breathing down my neck. Like it's right up on me. I can't turn around. I can't do anything. And our friends that we shoot with, all I could hear in my head was like, don't look him in the eye. And so I'm like trying to like strategically turn around and hoping this thing doesn't blow like behind me, because I'm pretty convinced I'd die of a heart attack at that point. And I remember turning around and I just looked this thing like dead in the eyes, and I'm like, this is not good. I'm not going to get this. We're just staring at each other. So that was the only time I heard somebody's voice in my head.
That's awesome. Now, you're the only female I know that actually gets up in a saddle. Tell me about your experience with it.
That was the last time I hunted out of a saddle, actually. And I, mostly because the first time I tried it, I very stupidly tried to learn how to do it like 10 minutes the day before. And I was like, I got this. This is fine. I can do this. I get to where I was going to hunt, and I completely forget how to set up anything. And so I get maybe 5 feet off the ground, maybe that high, thank God no higher. And my carabiner flips. And when it did, I didn't have it latched. And so it dropped me out of the tree.
Oh no, that's scary.
It scared me so bad. So I actually hunt out of a climber now, because I figure if I somehow clown out of a climber and fall to the ground, I probably deserve it. Like, there's a lot of metal there. I should not make it that far.
All right, ladies. So Lori, Rachel.
I'll go. So back when I was little and younger, my parents hunted a little bit. We just did rifle hunting, and it was very like first day, and that was about it. Like, we were the first dayers, and I didn't really get into it much when I was younger. And then I got older. I really wanted a bow. Like, something struck me. I was like, you know what? This seems interesting. I want to do this. So at this point, I was like 16. My dad bought me a bow, and mind you, like, he had no idea. Like, they had no idea about archery hunting. They're like, here you go. Happy birthday. Have at her, you know? I'm like, thanks. So I just started to shoot my bow. I never took it out hunting. I was in my backyard just shooting at 20 yards and just like, wow, this is really fun. I really like doing it. And then as I even got older, after I graduated high school, I started hunting with my cousin, and he started getting me back into it. I'm like, wow, this is fun. Like, I really like going out in the woods. I like going in a tree stand. Like, this is peaceful. But then I sort of stopped again, and I finally met my boyfriend.
Oh boy.
Back in 2021, I met my boyfriend, and he was a big hunter. Hunted since he was like, I don't even know, wearing diapers still at this point, I felt. And
I feel like he's still in diapers.
yeah. Yeah, Lori's known him for a while, a long time. And
She's still trying to get him house broke at this point.
yeah. And he's like, well, if you want to do it and you're interested, I'll take you out. So he took me out that year of 2021 in the fall, and I fell in love with it. And he showed me actually, you know, how to properly shoot, and I got into a different release, and just he introduced me to so much. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is like, I've been missing out for so long. And it was the best thing ever. And I have been now more of a diehard with him. I think he's created a monster, to be honest. Like, but yeah, it's great. And that's now I hunt all the time. He bought me a bow last year, a new one, because I've had my same bow that my parents bought me for how long. And he's like, you need an upgrade. And I was like, okay. And last fall, I actually shot my first deer ever, and with my bow. And
we got to see that. It was awesome.
yeah, she did. I instantly texted the girl chat that Becca and Lori were in, and I was like, guys, I shot a doe, like a deer down. I bawled. I remember when I shot the deer, and before this, I missed a doe before this a week ago before I shot this one, and I put my bow down, and I was like, I looked at my boyfriend because he still hunts with me in the same tree, and I was like, did I get her? He's like, yeah, he got her. Give me the bow before you drop it. So, and yeah, ever since he got me into it, though, I've loved it ever since, and I will forever hunt.
This is the year that me and Rachel get our first bucks.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that story then. So, Lori.
Okay, so I have been hunting since I was 11 because I have a fall birthday. So it works out. I get to hunt beforehand. So I started off rifle hunting. I actually got my dad back into hunting quite a bit because we were hunting buddies. Like, go out first day, we have a tree stand that he built and everything, to the point that we have in the stand the years and how many deer have been shot out of it, how many buck, and it's just, it always been like our thing. So I shot my first buck out of there. I actually shot most of my buck out of there. I got a 3 and a 4 point, and then I got my doe, and I went to college, kind of quit hunting as much. I'd go out when I could. I was the kid walking across campus in their muck boots and camo, getting like dirty looks from everybody. And I'm like, yo, you're going to school in Clarion. Like, get used to it. Everybody in the area goes to Clarion and we all hunt. Like, this isn't new. The professors were used to it at this point. But as the store got busier, obviously our busy time is hunting season. So I would make sure I would work so everybody else can go hunting, because I'm not a diehard. Like, my top priority is my family and my household and my job. And then if I get time to hunt, absolutely, I'll go out. I'll sit in my blind for a few hours and just kind of chill. Unlike my husband, he loses sleep over hunting. Like, I can't imagine. So I got my first like big girl bow because I had a Mission Craze. It was blueberry riser, their custom aluminum anodized dipped riser that they had for like 1 year. I never shot it ever. I was going to start doing like 3Ds and I didn't shoot it. So I finally got my big girl bow, my Matthews Avail. And Wayne took me hunting for my first time archery hunting in 18. Yeah. And we were hunting on a family friend's property, and I shot my first archery buck. Decent little nice 8 point. I was happy. I got mounted. It's actually hanging at the shop. And he was so mad at me before we went hunting because he calls me. He's like, we're going to go out. We got into a huge fight on the way over to the blind because I am deathly afraid of heights. So I ground hunt. Well, I got the deer and we were all excited. And the next year came. I didn't see anything. Well, 2020 rolls around. It's October. I am now 20 weeks pregnant. He calls me. He says, I'm coming to pick you up. We're going to go out to your brother's property and we're going to hunt. And I said, okay, I'll get ready. I passed out on the couch. Like, I was pregnant. I was tired. So I fell asleep. He rolls in. I'm sleeping. And he like looks at me. He's like, what are you doing? Like, we have to go. It's going to be dark in like an hour and a half in the blind. So we get into a huge fight. We almost didn't go to my brother's property. We almost went to the family farm, which at the time was like right across the road from our house. And I said, no, we're going to my brother's house. Where I want to go. That's where you've been seeing the deer, because he's been running trail cams for me and scouting for me. And we get out there and I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm uncomfortable, I'm playing on my phone. Like, I just did not care. I didn't. So we're sitting there in silence because I'm mad at him. He's mad at me because I made us late because I was sleeping. And I put my phone away and I'm just like looking at my bow because it's laying on my lap. And he's like, big buck, big buck. Okay. All right, whatever. It's like, pull your bow back. Okay. All I see in the main window of the blind is brown because I couldn't see the head. All I saw was the body. So I knew I needed to shoot out of the left window, which is like this big, because it's the door side. I see antlers, I see body. Okay. Didn't look, see how big it was. I knew it was a deer. So I shot it, and he goes,
That's a deer. I'll just
Yeah.
shoot it.
he's like, that was the big buck. I'm like, yes. And he's like recording me because he was filming and everything. And he's like freaking out. And he's like, and how far along are you? And I'm like, I'm 20 weeks pregnant. And I look out because I knocked this deer off its feet. Mind you, I only shoot 42 pounds. It was a 33-yard shot with my good old Uncle Ted's, which are at this point lobbing at 30 yards because they're so heavy. And I look out, the deer laid down across the soybean field, and I see it get back up. And I'm like, wait, it got back up. It got back up. He's like, where? Because he didn't see it. Well, I watched it go down into the woods, and he ended up calling his dad, his buddies. I went down to the house, to my brother's house. I ate. I told him I shot a really big deer. So we started tracking and couldn't find anything. We started watching the footage back because he wasn't 100% sure where I'd hit because my knock didn't work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right. Which is not the first time I had that happen. It happened with my first deer also, where my knock actually blew out the back end whenever it hit. So then we start making phone calls. He was actually messaging some different guys in the bow hunting league, sending them the video footage saying, hey, is this deer dead? And everybody came back, yeah, absolutely. Called a couple local people that have dogs. Nobody could come out. Showed them the footage. They were like, that deer's dead. So it's like 10 o'clock at night. Still hadn't found no blood, nothing. We went back in at 8 in the morning and had a kind of idea of where it had entered at. And I told both guys, and they start walking because we're going to do a grid search at this point. And I'm like waddling through the woods because I was the size of a whale the entire time. And next thing I know, my father-in-law is screaming, running through the woods, yelling, Ohio's next. And I'm like, I'm assuming you found my deer. I don't get overly excited about really anything. And I get down and I'm just like, holy crap. Like, this thing's massive. And you just start looking at it. And I ended up shooting a 15 scoreable point buck.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. 163 inches. 20 weeks pregnant.
20 weeks pregnant.
My son is my lucky charm. 110%. And there were two different names for this deer. And at the time, we didn't know the second name. So the first name, that one group of people on one side of the creek had it named Brutus. Well, we had our baby announced the name of our son, which is Maverick. And then literally later that week, found out the people on the other side of the creek nicknamed the deer Maverick. I'm just like,
That's awesome.
you can't like make this up. But yeah, I haven't shot anything since.
I feel like you ended on a high note, though. I mean,
I almost had a really good 8-point last year, but I just didn't have like a super great shot on it, and was totally on me. So that's okay. Next time.
I'm the same boat you are, Lori. I am not a tree stand person, but I am started to look into doing the saddle hunts myself. But I'd rather just do the ground and pound. There's a guy named Pat Newcomb. He does the Newcomb blind. It's just 3 pounds, breaks down within seconds, and you can ground and pound with the thing. It's really easy to work with. But I currently own is a ghost blind, and she loves it. I like it. My wife likes it too as well. My wife's in the chat right now on YouTube, and she's saying one of her remarks was she's always on her phone. It's like, yeah, she's not wrong.
It just after a while, I have the attention span of a 2-year-old, and now having a 2-year-old, I know what that means. And my issue is like I sit there and I'm like, well, I could be home. I could be doing this. I could be doing this. I should be doing this. And like I'll like talk to Wayne about it, and he's like, you just need to let it go. And I'm like, that's not how it works when you have a family business. Like, I have stuff to do.
It's hard to let it go.
It is.
I struggle with the same thing. I have a 5-year-old, and like anytime I'm in the stand, I'm like, I really should be at home doing laundry or getting clothes together or getting groceries. Like, it's really hard to turn all that off when you're out in the woods.
Yeah, like one of us has to be the serious one, so that way the other one can go have fun. And like I make sure that everything's taken care of, so like he can travel and hunt, so that way he can go and do what he loves to do. So
You're such a good wife.
I have my moments. Sometimes he probably says no.
You'll have these on these big jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Raising 2 kids is hard. He's one of them.
So true, especially now since men have adult money. It's like I can buy adult things. It's like then you look at your wife. It's like she either gives you the nod up, or the nod down. It's like, well, that depends on how much money I'm spending today.
Yeah,
but there's
exactly.
Everybody in the chat says congratulations on a stud. So, and especially being 20 weeks pregnant with the boy and killing a 163 is just insane.
Well, I looked at my doctor because, of course, he's a customer at the shop. Who isn't anymore around the area? Like, they all know me to see me anywhere I go. So I don't go anywhere. But he come in and I looked at him. I said, if I don't shoot a deer in archery season, can I shoot my high power? And he looked at me and he said, absolutely not. And I said, well, I'll wear earmuffs. And he's like, no. He's like, the fluid around the baby just makes all the sound even more amplified. And he's like, you can actually create hearing loss.
Oh, wow.
Pre-birth. And I'm like, crap.
That's a problem.
Yeah. And of course, like, you know, like you're only allowed to lift like 25 pounds while you're pregnant. So it makes it really hard. And I looked at them and I said, I'm pulling my bow. It's over 40 pounds. Is that okay? And he's like, yes, because you already have those muscles going. So you don't have to worry about that. And you're using your upper muscles instead of your abdomen. So it's not so bad. So good thing I shot my deer.
Yeah.
No kidding. I had no idea that would actually cause a fetus to lose hearing because of a discharge of a high power rifle. So it's like, had no idea.
I didn't either, but as the further you get along, they obviously start developing like ears and stuff like that. So then it made sense after he explained it. I was just like, well, what if I like wrap my stomach and like, it's like I'm trying to come up
It's a
with
big muffle.
because I was so excited. Like I was actually getting some extra time off because of being pregnant. So that way I wasn't on my feet all day because it's nothing for me to run 50 hours a week. But I was getting some extra time off. I wanted to do the local turkey shoots. I wanted to do my 22 shoots. I wanted to hunt rifle, and I got told no. So I had my bow, and it worked out.
Good thing for dad getting you back, getting you into hunting. And having a
Exactly.
fall birthday. See, my birthday's in the end of November, so a lot of times I always had that week off because it's Thanksgiving. Start usually when you're in school, Thanksgiving, and you have the rest of the week off all the way up and sometimes until the 30th. So it's like, this is great. And now as an adult, it's like, well, now just my rutcation, or well, it'll be second season depending where you're at. But this year, I got at the open season in the Dells there. Travis Bigger, he's out of Illinois. He normally does a giveaway for a archery hunt down there in Illinois. So I got drawn. So I'm gonna be spending my rutcation down there in Illinois, going after hopefully a big, nice looking stud. And he's got some 160s, 180s out there. So it'll be amazing. I'll be happy to shoot something bigger than a 130. I'll be definitely thrilled. So either regardless, especially being a out of state hunt. Now, my next question is, since we got done talking about all your pluses and your positive moments here, what's your biggest failure either in hunting or archery, vice versa, and what did you learn from that failure?
I'll go first, being that I just kind of left off on it. So last year, it was my first time actually getting a chance to shoot a deer by myself, because I like having a hunting buddy. It gives me someone to kind of like, before the deer come out, talk to a little bit, and it gives me an extra set of eyes, because up until a couple weeks ago, I probably should have been wearing glasses, and I haven't been. So I can't see deer super, super well far away coming in, because everything just blurs together. But last year I had been watching this buck for maybe a week. I'd seen him the week before, and then I had a chance to hunt a couple nights the following week, and he was coming in, and I knew where he's coming in at. He was coming in to my right out of another field, and he would always like loop back and around the soybean field on a small grade that I could just see his antlers. Well, the one night he started to double back, and I'm like, these doe are starting to come down past in front of my blind. And I said, this is perfect. So this deer started coming down, and I'm ranging it, and he's like 50 yards away, and my max is 30, just because I run such a heavy arrow. I was running 350 grains, which is slightly excessive for my poundage and my draw, but I wanted to make sure it hit hard. And he finally started to cross in front of me, but he's still just a touch too far away. So I was hoping he's going to follow the rest of the deer and go to my left. This is the same field I shot the big deer out of. And same scenario, I was going to have to shoot out of the little window. Well, luckily I had my door open, because when he was at the window, he was still a touch too far, and he started walking towards me a little bit, and I was shooting through the door. So I leaned back, and I'm like this at full draw, and I'm like, one more step. I'm literally like whispering to myself, because I have to talk myself through these things. And I shot. I saw my arrow go. I knew I hit the deer. I get out after it gets dark, because I'm watching this deer. It ran, it stopped, and then it just started walking off, and it's just standing there. It's like king of the mountain watching over the field. And I'm sitting there. It's like 30 minutes after shooting hours, and I'm like, I need to get out. I don't even care at this point, because I thought I missed, even though I knew I hit it. And I go over and I start looking for my arrow. Couldn't find it. I ended up with a gut shot, which really bummed me out, because I had never had a shot like that before. I am notorious, apparently, for hitting arteries on my deer, which is stupid. I know. It's such a bad thing. I need to do better with vital shots, but I always end up hitting arteries instead. But we wait until the morning, and we finally found some blood in the soybeans, and it looked bubbly, like I maybe had hit one of the vitals. Well, I didn't track it. I was watching Maverick because I had him on my way to daycare, and my father-in-law and Wayne were tracking it, and they tracked it 500 yards. They'd have real good blood trail and then nothing, a real good blood trail and then nothing. And they're like, this deer's dead, but it just disappeared. And we made sure all the property owners around knew that we were looking for this deer. We were waiting for vultures to come up, and nothing. And I looked at everybody and I said, I don't care how long it takes. I said, if someone finds this deer, I will tag it, because it was the first one that I'd actually got to shoot by myself. But it's my biggest outcome from it is just waiting for a better shot, because he was still walking, actually get it to stop, whether you do like a MERT to get it to stop and look or whatever, and then shot placement, because obviously I like dipped my bow. I did not have good follow through on it to shoot that low, because I like skimmed the bottom. And yeah, I was just super disappointed. It was kind of disheartening. It was really hard for me to get back out into the blind after that. I had some people kind of being jerks about it.
Aw. I give you
So-
credit though, going out by yourself, because I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
I've always had Cole as my like security blanket.
Wayne
So
has been kind of forcing me.
oh, I already got the rude awakening that I'm getting forced this fall. So
Just come hunt with me. We'll hunt together.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how this year goes, I guess.
So Rachel, how about yourself?
Okay, so I got two. I'll tell you the serious one first. So this was last fall when I was saying about that I missed my first deer ever. So I was sitting there stuffing my face with snacks because I love snacks, especially in the tree stand. And I'm not even paying attention. And we're just sitting there, and Cole was actually in his saddle behind me on like the other side of the tree, but he could like poke his head around and I could hear him. And he was still like coaching me at this point, like, you know, hey, I see deer, like stand up. Well, all of a sudden this doe comes out of nowhere. She was by herself, and I'm just like munching, not paying attention, just looking around like, oh, you know, and I hear Cole, Rachel. I'm like, what? Stand up. I'm like, huh? Stand up. Why am I standing up? Stand up. I'm like, huh? I'm like, why are you yelling at me to stand up? Deer, stand. And then like, I look over to my left. I'm like, oh, crap, deer. And I didn't have, my bow was still hanging up. I'm trying to stuff my snacks into my hand muff at this point, not trying to make a sound. I'm looking at the deer and I'm like, oh, and he's like, wait till she looks away to grab your bow. And I'm like, okay. So then at this point, I'm like shaking. I'm like, okay, look away. She looks away. Hurry up, grab my bow. And at this point, I've got the jitters and everything. And I'm just like, oh God, like there's a deer in front of me. And I have my bow in my hand, like, oh. And
It's really
like,
happening.
yeah. Cole's like, okay, draw back. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I should do that. Draw back. I'm like, okay, I need to settle down. And all I can think of, and this is a thing that we all say in our family, is hips, lips, grips. I'm like, hips, lips, grips, hips, lips, grips. Okay, don't punch the trigger. Breathe. Oh, wait, put your hand down. Don't put your finger up. Don't shoot your finger off. Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm like saying all these things in my head. I'm trying to listen to Cole and I'm shaking and this doe's looking right at me. I'm like, and I'm like, just walk a little bit. I'm like, okay, don't punch the trigger. Don't punch the trigger. Don't punch. I keep saying that and I'm like, she finally walks and Cole actually goes, Matt, and stops her. And I'm like, oh, this is my cue. Like, I got to go. I got so excited. I punched that trigger. I missed her because she just did like the whole jerk head thing. She hurt. She's like, I'm like, oh, and then she just walked away. And I'm like, so my lesson there was listen to your boyfriend, significant other, your hunting partner. When they tell you to stand up, don't ask questions to stand up. My other failure here was the first time I ever went hunting with Cole, deer hunting. And again, I brought snacks. But this time, I didn't really know what snacks I was allowed to bring. Like, I didn't realize that there was noisy snacks.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking about that. And I thought it was a good idea to bring a fruit roll up.
Oh my God.
And mind you, I didn't keep it like in my, like in a backpack or a fanny pack. I just kept everything in my hand muff. Okay. So obviously my hands are getting hot in that hand muff and I was holding that fruit roll up.
That's disgusting.
So it got warm. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect time to eat. There's nothing coming around. It's pretty quiet. Like, we've been in the stand for an hour or two. I'm hungry. I start to open it up and I'm like, oh, Cole's not yelling at me yet, so I must be okay. And I start to peel the Fruit Loop away from the plastic, and all you hear is, and I'm like, I keep doing it slow. I'm like, oh, this is really loud. And all of a sudden, I like turned my head a little bit, and at this point, I was actually behind Cole, and Cole was in front of me, and trees on our hang-ons. And I just see him like look around the tree and he's like, really? I'm like, what? He's like, throw it on the ground. Get rid of it. I don't care. You're not eating it. I'm like, but I'm hungry. This is my last snack. I don't have any other snacks. He's like, throw it out. So I did. I threw it on the ground. I was like, I guess I'll pick it up later. I'm like, rip fruit roll up. But I also learned that now you have to bring quiet snacks.
And quiet bags.
And quiet bags, which I bought off of Lori, actually. Yeah. Pampered Chef makes silicone bags. They're almost like a Ziploc bag. And they are super quiet, and that's what I use now. And I put all my snacks out of the wrappers, and they go in those bags. So any of those snackers out there that need quiet bags, there you go. But overall, like I said, just you bring quiet snacks and always listen to your hunting buddy and trust your gut. And I know it's hard you get that fever, that deer fever, and you get all excited, but don't rush through it. Take your time, breathe, think about, just let it happen. And, just don't rush into it and do what I did and punch the trigger. And I really worked on that when I shot my first deer. I took my time and I breathed and, I didn't punch the trigger and I did it and it worked. So, yeah.
So before we speak to Becca here, I went ahead and I went on Amazon just to kind of look for some silicone bags out there. Those were thinking about it. It's like, there's a link there. Takes you to a whole bunch of different varieties you can choose from. It's like, that's smart. Cause it's like, usually I use the zipper ones from Ziploc.
Yeah.
So they work, but it's like, if you're OCD like myself, and you spend so much time paying attention to audio, all I really do is like, you hear the click, click. This is irritating me. Cause like, if I can hear it, something else can hear it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Makes me think of when you're in church and you're trying to open a peppermint or something, and that's the only thing you hear.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, Lord. I need my breast stinks. I need peppermint.
So Becca, how about yourself? What was one of your biggest failures, and what did you learn from that failure?
So Rachel can tell you from our girls group, every time I go is a circus. Like, I'm comedy relief in our group because I always hunt by myself. So it's been a huge learning curve for me, and I have done some of the dumbest things that seem so obvious now, but just I've dropped releases out of my stand. I've been incredibly too loud, just moving around too much. It is so hard for me to sit still for long periods of time. So I'll stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. Picking terrible places to hunt from. And most of the time I get up there and I'm like, this is a terrible spot, but I'm too tired to climb back down and move somewhere else. So I'm going to stay right here, and it never works out well. But my biggest fail almost made me stop hunting this year because I was up in my climber. I had not practiced a whole lot from shooting up high to the ground. I didn't realize it was such a big difference. And so I had a beautiful afternoon. I was sitting there and I saw 2 does come across a creek and came running directly under my tree. And one of them saw me. She saw me move, and she turned off and ran in the other direction. But the second one that was with her stopped what I thought was like 25 yards from me and was looking, and I was like, oh, you messed up. Like, I got you. So I got ready. I drew on her. I thought I had a good clean shot. I shot, dropped her. And I was like, oh man, I am the greatest thing ever. I just dropped a deer in one shot. That's like, that happens in a lifetime. I was so happy until I heard it start bleeding. And I was like, oh no, I have spined this deer. Uh-oh. And so I immediately climbed down the tree, and I get over to the deer, and this is a little deer. Like, it's not a fawn, but she definitely was like a young deer. And I just started crying because I had spined her. She wasn't going anywhere. And I was like, I had to shoot her again. And at that point, I was like, I do not deserve to be hunting. Like, I never want to, and I know it happens, but for me, I never wanted to wound an animal because of poor technique or me being impatient or anything. And so the girls in the group had to talk me back up and was like, you can't quit. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't just I shot a deer that I thought was way bigger, because apparently that's a thing. I didn't know, from up in a tree, a deer looks bigger. So I almost quit hunting after that, because I am very big on being very as humane as possible, taking a deer, as best you can. So that was I felt like my biggest fail, because I got, like Rachel said, I got jitters. I got excited. I didn't take the time to really look at what I was shooting, make sure it was, a decent deer. I had a clear shot, any of that. And so my biggest fail was being impatient and just not taking the time to really look at what I was shooting.
That is we've all been there. I've been in your shoes before too. I mean, I shot a doe this year, and I didn't spend enough time in the range testing my arrow flight with the broadhead on it. And so when I drew back and I put my pin right on its vitals, the arrow drifted forward and hit her right in that little gray spot. There's a dead zone in the front of the lungs there. If you can do a complete pass through, but there's no vitals, there's no arteries, no nothing. And that's what happened to me. And she ran for hundreds of yards. We tracked her for 4 or 5 hours. We even brought out, so I was out there by myself hunting. I called reinforcements. Then he called reinforcements, and we just couldn't find her. But we tracked her. But we found good blood. It's because there was consistently good blood all the way around, but nothing vital. So the funny thing is, we didn't start tracking her until almost an hour and a half into it. So I thought where I put the pin at where it went, I thought I was like, oh, this is going to be a good spot. But then again, it's just that was my biggest failure this year, was not spending enough time watching my trajectory of my arrow at 25, 30 yards out. Now, for yourself, you said you didn't realize how small she was. In state of Alabama, can you use magnifiers?
Well, actually, I hunt in Tennessee.
Oh, hunt in Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah, we live in Tennessee. And I don't know. I've seen people use magnifiers on 3D courses, but I don't know if it's legal to hunt with magnifiers.
Yeah, it's really easy to find out. You'll be able to figure that out. I know a lot of places out west, they say you can't use it, but like I know from my experience here in Wisconsin, I can't comment on Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Minnesota, Iowa, or Illinois, but we can. And that's just something that has helped me out when I've seen deer 30, 40 yards away, but they're coming in. I just kind of line it all up and see if I can. And then that's where I can make that general assumption, like, okay, they're too small. I'm gonna put my bow down. I don't even go after it. So that's something you can always look into. So just grab the PDF and then just start using the find feature and looking through that PDF to find if you can find that, because it's usually always documented properly. So this way, it's like no magnifiers can be used. Because I know a lot of like the cold shot challenge, a lot of challenges out west that they do for archery and stuff for contests. That's one of the biggest things you cannot have on your bow to participate. So anyways, I want to move on to our next question here. How has hunting / archery, because I didn't know at the time when I wrote these questions that you all hunted. Someone thought maybe some of you just did 3D archery, but how has it helped your mental health?
You go first on that one. I love being outdoors, regardless if I'm hunting or not. And so being able to go out and just sit outside and be away from being anything other than a hunter, not being a mom, not being a wife, not being, anything other than just somebody sitting outside enjoying the outdoors has been huge, especially for like seasonal depression, because which y'all know, we're a bunch of pansies down here when it comes to cold weather or snow and whatever. We don't like going outside when it's cold. So having to force myself to go be outside when it's cold and the weather's miserable helps get us through the nastier months.
Rachel?
Honestly, that's my escape anymore. I love being able to, if I had a bad day at work or just a bad day in general, if I'm able to go out and hunt and go up in a stand and just sit there, it's just everything goes away. I leave everything at my car and I just go in the woods and I'm like, I'm just here. There's no stress. There's no nothing. It's so peaceful. That's my main thing about hunting. It's just, there's a release there. And that's what's big for me.
I feel like I'm kind of opposite. If I'm having like a really rough day at work, it was just like super busy. If I go home, like if I had every intention of going home and like shooting my bow or whatever, I take all of that out on my bow and I like get even more frustrated and I just I can't.
I can understand that though, especially when you're just like, all I want to do is have some good shots. Just like, I just need a couple of good shots.
I just need one.
Yeah, that.
But like during hunting season, I'm a fair weather hunter. Like I like it to be warm, not super warm. I get cold extremely easily. Just for the simple fact, I leave work and I hunt in what I wear to work. I don't have time to go home, change, and stuff like that. So if I'm in jeans and a hoodie, I'm going out, I'm hosing myself down in scent killer, and I am going in the blind in what I'm wearing. So for me, it needs to be somewhat decent or else I'm just sitting there shivering. But I remember last season, I'm sitting there and I love the fall sunsets. I have one of the most amazing sunsets of my life that I took a picture of on my phone. It is just, I'm like, why can't they all just be like this?
Yeah.
And my other one that I actually can like relax and enjoy it and not think about all the other stuff is when it's raining, like a warm rain, because I love to just sit there and listen to the rain. It's awful for listening for deer, but I like to just sit there and listen to the rain. It relaxes me and usually puts me to sleep. So it works.
I don't see how y'all fall asleep hunting. I cannot do it. I'm
I have.
yes, I'm too keyed up for it. I can't.
And so I work until 4 on Saturdays. I get out, I head straight to the property, which is literally 5 minutes up the road, which is great. Hop in the blind. I know I need to be awake by 5:30, pass out and take a nap.
It's so
Like,
easy.
that's awesome.
Honestly, like I'm just in a tree, like I get in my first hour and I'm like, yeah, all right, there's nothing coming. I'm gonna take a snooze. Cole, you let me know if there's anything coming. Wake
It's
me up.
really bad by yourself because like you don't know what walks by whenever you're by yourself.
Which is a little
But
scary.
in a blind, like I'm hunting out of a blind chair. There's no arms on it. So I'm either like this hunkered over my bow or I'm like this trying to so it's so easy for me to fall asleep in a blind. It's my nap spot. I can't help it.
Oh yeah, especially if you have like a 32 axle bow. It's like, this is a great little shelf. I'm just gonna curl up right here. Just wake me up when something shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
I never realized
do
how
not like the
clumsy I
bow.
was. I have a 30-inch axle by axle, and I swear I hit it on every single bar. When I get up into my stand, just trying to get it somewhere. It's like
You need a shorter bow.
I need a shorter bow, but I'm holding out for a little bit. I really do need it. This is my first big girl bow, and I have sentimental value in it, and I just can't let it go yet. So,
That's where I'm at.
That's
I
understandable.
want a new bow real bad, but I've shot all of my archery deer with my bow, and yep.
Has good
I've been to
mojo.
tack with my bow. Like it's just, but it looks like a clown car with me. I'm 5'4", and I've got like this giant like bow that I tote around.
Well, if you're looking at getting a shorter bow, look at Gearhead Archery. They make one as small as I think 26 axle to axle, or maybe even lower than that. I think it's even 24 axle to axle. So it's really, really short, and it still cranks. It still has a 60-pound limb, so you can get out there.
I tried a 27-inch bow, and I was like, I had to put it down. I almost walked out of the shop with it because it was so light and it was so easy to maneuver. And I was just like, I really need this bow.
So moving on into our next segment here, I want to bring into the main topic, which would be the bow hunting league. Just give everybody a elevator pitch on what each one of you do for Ben and Matt for the bow hunting league.
Lori, you're probably our most important person, so you tell me.
Okay. So I'm on the sponsorship committee. I've just been kind of trying to wrangle everybody in on it, kind of. But with me in the family business, like I said, we're a sporting goods store. I do all of the archery ordering. So I have probably more contacts into the business than the average person. My biggest struggle has been my relationship is with my sales rep. And I have very strong relationships with them. But once I reach out to them and they proceed to the next person, whether it's the marketing person or the owner of the company, trying to get them to relay the information over has been kind of a challenge. I worked with Ben. I helped him create the media kit. I went to school for advertising and PR, so it's kind of in my wheelhouse. We knocked it out, got it reduced to it has the key information. And if you need expansion on that, that's where Ben comes back into play because this is his baby. He has his entire heart into it and you can tell.
He sure does.
Yes.
The biggest thing is I have reached out to companies such as QAD. I've reached out to Hamsky. I've reached out to Matthews Archery. I've reached out to Thermacell. Oh gosh, I reached out to all of the Faradyne companies, which include True Fire, wow, brain fart, Rage, Muzzy. I've reached out to CBE, Scott. They have Slick Trick as well because that's an outdoor group. I've reached out to GSM, which has hunting made easy equipment, HME, SME. They have gosh, who else do they have? There's just so many companies. I send out the information to my sales rep and I call them and I talk to them on the phone and I'm like, you don't understand, like this group of people, it's a family. Like you can get on and you will not find any toxic people on there at all.
No.
Because we kick them so fast. It's
Yeah,
our favorite
like
thing to do.
you get on and it's people interacting with other people. Like you're getting questions, you're getting responses. People are winning stuff and getting it. And it's all because of the sponsors. And it's the sponsors providing the products so that way the bow hunting league can hand it out for just bow hunting.
Yeah.
Like, what better can that be? It's just, I mean, I even reached out to Hoyt. I reached out to Bowtech. I reached out to Elite. I'm trying, and I may
They
not
can't
gotten
ignore us
anything.
forever.
Yeah, I've gotten the name out there. It's just trying to get it reciprocated
Right.
back. I may not have been successful on getting anything back yet, but now that they have the bug in their ear and how quickly it's growing over 50% every year now.
Yeah.
They're gonna want in it is the biggest thing.
Right. It's going to come to that point.
So hopefully all of my bugging my salesmen saying, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, I order a lot of stuff from you. Can you do this for me? Pans out. So
Yeah.
I use that leverage a lot.
I would too. How about you, Rachel? What is your elevator pitch for your association with Bow Hunting League?
So I actually just started back in February actually helping with the Bow Hunting League. I got asked to help with the social media pages. So I now run the Instagram and a lot of the stories too. They asked me to do it because I am majoring in marketing, and that's my main goal is to be social media marketer. So I help just post and set reminders on the stories all the time, shout outs to our sponsors, and any little bits of extra info always is on there. And we also have not a big group, but there's 4 of us that are all in the social media group that all help each other out. And we create the media, the post and everything and all the content. So it does take a lot of time, but we enjoy it. I enjoy this so much. And I really love being able to be a part of something because, like Lori said, it's like a big family. And there are so many good-hearted members in the Bow Hunting League. And if you really needed something, any of them would have your back and be like, I'll be out there. I'll fly to Pennsylvania for you. If and I've made so many friendships through the Bow Hunting League. As my Becca, like I met her through the deer contest last year. And that was my first year being in the deer contest for the Bow Hunting League. So it means a lot. And I am just happy to be a part and being able to help and spread the word for the Bow Hunting League. Awesome.
Becca, how about yourself?
So we don't really know what I am. I'm like the social media manager / like sponsor representative. Like I'm the stickiness that goes between everybody, making sure everybody knows who's doing what, when, where, making sure that we're getting content out, kind of planning ahead of what we're going to get done, talking to the sponsors, making sure they're happy, connecting them with winners, making sure the winners are happy. So I'm customer service. That's what I do.
There you go, customer service. Well, you sounds like you're the right person for the job here. So
I'm the motor mouth. So yes, that is the perfect job for me.
perfect.
And unfortunately, I'm sure Rachel probably sometimes regrets it, but I'm the one that drug her into all this. So I found out she was going to school for marketing, and I was like, come on, you got to come with me, because I have a visual communications degree. So all the ladies that help run Bowhunting League are visual communicators.
Perfect.
Yes.
So what's the biggest challenge you're facing with Bowhunting League right now, and how are you tackling it?
I got a good answer for this one.
Ooh.
Participation. So we have, our group is massive. I think we have, is it 47,000 members, Lori? Something close to that? 47,000.
Yeah.
Like-
Whenever I built the kit at the time, it was 46. So that was over a month ago. There's no way it can't be over 47 now.
Yes. And constantly growing. But
Right.
I think we had close to 4,000 contestants. So last year. So we have a lot of people in the group, and trying to convince them to get involved is, I think one of our biggest challenges, because we have plenty of people, but like actually getting people to make a team, sign up for it, and participate is actually kind of hard to do. I didn't realize it, and it's hard to understand because it's free. You don't do anything, and the signups are easy. Everything about it is simple, and you just
Right.
It really is.
you just sign up and you ride with it, and you get to meet really cool people. And we're really trying to streamline our onboarding process and make it easier for people to find teams and stuff. But if people don't
Right.
sign up, they're not going to win.
Yeah, I know I've seen how many posts. Oh, I didn't sign up on a team, but here's my deer.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
I didn't have this issue. I didn't get to submit anything. And as far as I know, I think I don't even know at this point. I think my other two teammates may have, but didn't you have issues?
I don't know, Melissa. So in my team, I didn't get anything. Angela didn't, but Melissa did. She got a bucking from in Kansas, and I don't know if she had issues, but I did hear that there were issues with people submitting deer for some reason.
Not so much that. I've
But-
heard people, I guess specifically Wayne, his one teammate did shoot a deer, but he didn't submit it.
Oh,
And last year, his
Yeah.
one teammate shot a deer, asked him how many days he had to submit it. Over a month later, he's like, oh, here's my deer. I want to submit it. And Wayne's like, dude,
I think
it's
a lot of
past the timeline.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
it's-
a
we
lot
have
of people don't.
Yeah, we have
read
people
the
who will
rules.
shoot a deer, a good deer, but
yeah,
they won't
Yeah.
submit it.
yeah.
Or
It-
number two, they submit a deer that they don't have their bow in their picture, and
Yeah, that's what I was
like
gonna say.
our
Yeah.
one of our number one rules is you have
Yeah.
to have your bow in the picture.
right.
And we get disqualifications all the time because people don't put their bows in the picture.
I would say that's probably, as far as once people are entered, those are the biggest issues is
Yeah.
submit your deer, no matter how big or little or times broke off
Mhm.
from recovery, submit it.
Thing
And
looks like it's been through a meat grinder already. It don't
Yeah.
matter. As long as
exactly.
we can tell it's a deer and you got there's a bow in
Yeah.
it.
Submitted.
Yeah.
And then as far as like a bow picture, take a selfie. Like just go click.
Yeah, if you're by yourself, just you
Yeah.
could lean it against, or like you said, take a selfie and just get the bow and the deer and yourself in the picture.
Yeah.
Like,
Some
yeah,
of these guys, they take like glamour shots. Like
Oh,
when they
yeah.
yes,
Like,
gotta
hold
make
the
sure
deer
the
to their
deer
face,
is
like-
propped up properly and the head's placed just right.
It's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
It is,
It
especially
looks
for by
really
yourself.
good.
Yes.
They're very
yeah, they do.
professional.
I'm like, wow, did you have a like personal photographer take that? It looks really nice.
Like I'll do warrior paint, take a selfie if I have to.
yeah, yeah. But I do agree. I think that is a lot. That is our major issues that we face for the deer contest,
It's
and us
so
just.
easy. Just
And it's a shame
yeah.
because there's, like you said, there's some really nice deer that people have shot and then they don't submit. It's like, darn, like
Dang.
your team
Like,
probably could have won.
You
Like,
could have been in a top 10 team.
yeah,
Like you could have potentially gone to showdown if you would have submitted
Right.
all of your deer.
yeah,
And the end goal is to be like your top for your state or to go to showdown, because I know showdown is just an amazing experience for the guys to go to, because it's, as of right now, no women have gone to showdown, so it's open to women also.
Yeah.
It's been all men, and it's a giant bro fest.
Lori, I almost thought that
I
I
agree.
think it was Lori Woods who shot her deer early in the season. I thought she was going to make it to showdown. Like, her deer was huge.
Really?
I was
that was a very nice deer.
Yes.
She was shot at her mule deer out of, was it Nebraska? Or was it
Yes.
Arizona?
I think it was Nebraska.
Nebraska.
I think.
Okay. Yeah, because that was a stud, but that was a stud
Yes.
right there.
It was in velvet too, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I use that as a thumbnail when I had Ben and Matt on, because it's like, this is awesome. Even though we trust the picture, but it's like, that's just such a cool thumbnail. It's like, I couldn't not take advantage of the picture that you took of it, and just that smile from ear to ear. You just like, you
Yeah.
couldn't ask for a better moment than that.
Yeah.
We have some excellent lady killers in the group. Like Aaliyah Story, every single one of their team members dropped a giant deer.
So then, what have you guys have tried to do to increase the participation, or try to remind them? It's like, hey, submit that deer, submit that turkey.
We do. I think this year we're going to try to possibly put out some more videos explaining exactly how to do it, what the time is, because people seem to pay more attention to videos and thick snippets like that, and just posting the rules more during season, because a lot of us get really busy and we can get lax on like updating that kind of stuff. But just reminding people, hey, if you want to win, you've got to follow the rules. You've got to post. You know, it's like buying the lottery ticket. If you don't buy it, you ain't gonna win. You got to get your submission in.
Perfect. I like that strategy here. My next question for you ladies is, what's your competitive advantage over other contests out there in the market?
I would say our biggest pull is like the Bowhunting League is 100% free.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to pay to join. All you do is you sign up on the website. You can join the group on Facebook. You get to be a part of a great community.
Yeah.
Create a new friend base. And it gives you the opportunity. You can trade hunts with other people.
Right.
That
Oh
you
yeah,
meet in
we've
the
had so
league.
many hunts traded through the group. I mean,
Yeah.
we're-
It's basically we're networking. Other people
Yeah.
are networking. And okay, so for example, anybody can sign up for a contest and, you know, pay $5 for a random contest, but you're not connecting with any people.
Right.
You're not, you know, trading hunts. You're not, even if you're on a team base, you're probably not talking to your teammates. You
Right.
probably don't even know them before you got on the team. So here at the Bowhunting League, you get to pick your team, get to know your teammates. Actually, a lot of times, like my deer team, we've actually became best friends and have, you know, talked a little bit outside of our deer contests, and we'll like, you know, here and there, like catch up. So again, like we all said, you're part of something and you make a lot of friends, and it's a really great time.
That's awesome. Now, how about this? It just kind of dawned on me, for the ones that don't have a team or don't really have a connection or too introversial, have you ever thought about like putting out there's like, hey, if you want to be part of a team but you don't know anybody, we'll put you in a random drawing. We'll just randomly select 3 people to be part of your team. Have you guys thought about doing something like that? Just kind of overcome that the introversial aspect of being vulnerable, asking like, "Hey, can I be part of your team?"
So last year, I played matchmaker to all the ladies who are in the group that were looking for teammates. Like I went through all of our threads. I just put I was like, any ladies that are interested in finding other ladies to match up with, just message me. They would message me, and I would just put them in a group together. And we got several teams together like that.
She did, and she actually got my mom into a team. You did, Becca?
Yeah. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's-
I did help several of the guys too that were having trouble, because a lot of times people will post in the thread, "Hey, I'm looking for a team," but they won't respond when somebody's like, "Hey, I'm also looking for a team." So when you put them in a chat group, they kind of have to talk like they're either going to respond or they're not, and it puts people more in a smaller space. That way, it's like, okay, I got 3 of y'all, make it work. I got 3 of y'all, make it work. I don't care if you don't like each other, y'all just go do something.
Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it,
And
make it work.
I think that actually did work too. It helped. I think
it really helped, especially with our ladies too, because really the demographic for a bow hunting league is 92% men and 7% women, and close to that. And so there are some ladies that will hunt with their husbands, but a lot of ladies that are, solo or whatever, don't feel comfortable, being on a team with men that they don't know. So we just have a big girls group, and we just put everybody together. And if even some of the ladies that are on teams with their husbands or stuff are invited to our chat groups, just so that they have some other girls to talk to, like while we're hunting.
Because honestly, it's sort of hard trying to get on a team with a guy, especially if you're newer to hunting, and you just want to be able to relate to a woman. It's sometimes it's easier, honestly.
And a lot of times our obligations, as Lori will tell you, with being married and have kids, and me being married and have kids, we have a lot different obligations than a lot of these men do. So it's nice to be in a group where it's like, if you get to hunt, that's awesome. If not, okay.
It's okay.
Right. Yeah.
You actually have someone that understands.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's not that pressure to perform to get a big deer. It's like, if you're lucky to get one, that's awesome. We've got, we're going to celebrate with you, and it's fantastic. If not, it's whatever.
That's why I fill the freezer before season even starts with a quarter beef. I don't have to worry about it. Don't worry, I did my part.
Nothing wrong with that. I really like that strategy. I think it really brings people together, because I think since the main demographic is men, it's like we have that bravado, machismo. Also, is like something that people think that's like, well, I only have like a 130 class buck on my property. They don't feel like they should even participate. And I think that's where we have a lot of bullying experiences outside of the group that comes into it. Not on purpose. It's just something that it just kind of happens from the outside of the group that it happens. That's just unfortunate. But I like the strategy you 3 have come up with to bring in that extra level and such. One person that came to mind is, her name is Liz Ann, and what she does is that it's called Hunt LA, and she has gotten together and puts together groups of females and gets them out hunting and stuff like that to build that stuff. She would be a great person to link up with. She's based out of Wisconsin. She's been on my podcast. Absolute doll. You ladies would love her, because she is just a hard-nosed woman. She gets stuff done when she says she's going to do it. So highly recommend doing it. I'll put you guys in a nice 4-way conversation just to pick her brain to be able to bring it, because she has her own network of women that she's successfully put in front of folks, whether it be big game, going down to Florida hunting iguana, she's done that. Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Group of ladies just doing it.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's a thing.
Reptiles
for sure.
Out.
They're delicious though, from what I understand.
Well, we wait for a really tall lady to walk around and pick them up off the ground, because they just fall out of the trees.
That too. My next question for you ladies here is, what's the best compliment bow hunting league ever received?
it would probably have to be centered around our community, like just how massive our community is and the presence that we have. Like if you go to outdoor shows, I guarantee you're going to find people from Bowhunting there if you don't find sponsors there.
Mm-hmm.
And just having a space that's dedicated to nothing but bow hunting, I mean, you won't find that anywhere else.
I literally just had a group of guys in the shop, like January, maybe December, and they came in and they looked at me and they said, "Thank you for being a sponsor of the Bow Hunting League." They're like, "This is the coolest group we've ever been a part of," and I have the opportunity, because one of the members on our shooting team at the shop is in charge of the second leg of the Triple Crown. I have the opportunity to haul our trailer to the shoot and set up. And of course, in typical fashion, the back door of our trailer has a big Bow Hunting League decal on it. So I make sure I leave the door up the entire time I'm there, unless I need something big out of it. And I have the banner hung up, and I'll have guys come up to me and they're like, "Are you the Bow Hunting League?" And I'm like, "No,
Yes.
but I am a sponsor."
Yeah.
You should just be like, "Yes, I am Bow Hunting League."
And they're just like, the group is so awesome. And they just can't get over the fact that a local shop that they go to is a part of it. And they
Such a
absolutely
big
love it.
competition. It's really cool.
So I don't know when this comment was. I don't even know what it was on as a post. It might have been a year ago. Cole and I talked about it, but it was, and I don't know how we got the backstory a little bit on this guy. This sounds a little creepy now, but
Creeper.
he he posted a comment saying, thanks for everyone that is behind the scenes in the Bow Hunting League. You have changed my life. And I think it actually, like, people started replying to it, and this is how we got the backstory. I guess the guy really hunted with his dad all the time, and he passed, and he sort of just stopped hunting.
Aw.
And I guess he found the Bow Hunting League and he joined a team, and he loved his teammates, and I think they're still friends. And he said that they brought him back into hunting, and being able that the Bow Hunting League actually changed somebody's life from hunting and then not hunting and actually getting their passion back for that.
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
It is.
That's awesome. Then next question here for you ladies is, what's one question you wished I'd asked you?
Oh gosh, that's a tough
Maybe
Yeah.
what our experience is being females in the Bow Hunting League, because we are such a minority. But we have, from my experience, and as you heard, I have no experience hunting. I very little. I'm just starting out, but I have always been treated with more than enough respect. Anytime I ask questions, people are there to help me. They don't put me off because I'm inexperienced. They don't put me off because I'm a female. Like anytime, like most of the things I have learned from Bow Hunting League. And to me, like being able to come into a space like that and feel safe to ask questions and to post my stories and not feel judged is fantastic. And I want so many other female archers to come into that space, because I've talked to a lot of ladies that they have horror stories about trying to get into archery and just being treated so badly by men, like just trying to get into it. And it's awful that they have that experience. And so I'm like, come to Bow Hunting League. We welcome you. We want you to learn. We want you to bring your babies. We want you to teach them and let them learn. Like it's an awesome space for somebody just starting out.
It definitely makes a big difference having a lady talk to another lady.
Yes.
Whether it's in the league or outside. Because I know from like personal experience in the shop, like I said, I've been there for 19 years and I'll still have guys come in and they just look down on you
Oh,
and
yeah.
they talk to you like, do you really know what you're talking about? And
Right.
I look at them and I'm like, if you really don't want to work with me, go talk to one of the guys. But they're going to ask me the question that you're asking because they're not going to know the answer.
Yeah.
Like, they need to realize that women are starting to become more involved in outdoor sports, whether it's bows or firearms or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we're not here to just stay home all the time and tend to the kids and clean and cook.
Do all the wifey stuff.
Yeah.
Like we also want to have our own hobbies.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Like, I love whenever women come in and they come right up to you and they're like, we want to get fitted for like a new pistol, or I'm also a bow tech, so I'll set them up with their new bow and I'll go through everything and I'll explain it in a way that they relate to.
Yeah,
it makes
and to watch
all the
them fall in
difference.
love with it is such a
Yeah.
cool experience. Like to
Yes.
see their face light up when the first time they shoot a bow, and it's like, oh, you're gonna love
Yeah.
this. This is gonna be great.
And then they're shooting lights out compared to their husband or
Yes.
their boyfriend or whatever. And I'm like, yes.
I hate
Full
to be
accomplished.
yes.
like biased, but I mean, from what I've seen, a lot of girls shoot way better than men do.
It's a known fact. We can control our heart rates better. But
For sure.
We have
Mhm.
to. Can you imagine the carnage that would happen if we were not able to control
But
ourselves like
that's
that?
kind of why, like, whenever Ben approached me about the shop being a sponsor, I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sponsor the top women's team. Like,
Yes.
I want to
That was an awesome. She like the top women's teams got all brand new bows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was awesome.
I got a hold of my Hoyt rep. I said, hey, this is what's going on. Go check it out. Can you help me out? They ended up helping me out on the back end with pricing. So that way, it was us and Hoyt. I ended up doing the same thing for the top trad team because you don't see
Oh my gosh.
the trad team get recognition
Right.
hardly ever. The trad world is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
you know, I
amazing.
really wish that when I was 16 and didn't really know anything about archery, but I had the interest, that I had the bow hunting league.
Yeah.
Because honestly, even if you are a teenager and you know your parents support you in what you're doing, but they can't help you, that's a great group right there to ask
Right.
questions, because someone's going to help you, someone's going to answer what and help you in any way they can.
And you may end up finding someone down the road that you've known forever
Yeah.
that's a part of it that can
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
And hopefully in the future, if I'm really hoping that we can bring in some more female run sponsors like
Yeah.
Prois, or
Right.
just that we can bring in that can support our female teams, because I think
Yeah.
once they see that we are supported here, that we have a space, that we will have a lot more ladies wanting to come join us.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep.
We also have here in Wisconsin, we have DSG. They are a female focused brand.
Love
Yeah.
them.
Yes,
I
Yeah.
do too.
if we could get that, that would be great. If you got a
Yeah.
connection, that just ask them this way.
I
That'd be great.
mean,
I don't have
the owner.
I think
pull your status card.
I need to write an order with them anyway. So
there you go. Have you got? Have you ever met Seth or Emmy Baranowski?
I have not.
I can't.
Okay,
Yeah.
Seth was one of the guys who were charged for the. I think it was you were doing you just shoot here a couple of years ago. I don't know if he's still in charge of it, but he's a friend of mine. But his daughter Emmy, she's 15 now, and she's been really kind of blossomed into an archer and doing the S3DA and going to state and stuff like that. But she'd be a fun one to try to utilize her presence and her warmth, and she's just so bubbly. That'd be perfect for the bow hunting league. And I'm sure Ben knows what I'm talking about. So either way, I can bring Emmy into it too, because she'd love to be able to participate and like the get behind the mission you three are trying to achieve. I think it'd be a fantastic thing to do.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. And honestly, we don't have a very big world, but I've not run across another female archer hunter that I do not like, or that is awesome to know, just because we're in such a small space and we understand the struggles of being in such a small space.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And probably trying to, and even if we were to look at some of the larger female faces that are out there, I'm sure they'd probably ask for a check before they even mention your name in a breath. You know, it's like I've talked to some of the guys that have interacted with some of the male celebrities in the world, and they won't do anything unless they're getting paid or getting a cut or something like that, or getting something out of it instead of being genuine about it, because that's just how they've become. So I could see that maybe why we all know the top female ones out there, why they haven't jumped aboard yet. Moving on here, where can people learn more about Bowhunting League?
We've got several platforms. You just pick your poison. You can find us. You can find us on. We got a website. We got a Facebook page. We got an Instagram page. We got a Go Wild page. We got a Facebook group. We got all the things.
And we also have on, I think it's also on the Facebook group, we have a link tree, and on the Instagram bio, there's a link tree that actually takes you to all the contests and all the other social media platforms that we are on. So you can honestly just click that link, and wherever you need to go, you can click on those little tabs.
And we, this is all Wayne's fault. And we have an upcoming YouTube page that
Good.
I really need to crack the whip and get him to finish his showdown video. There will be a video of the showdown. He just needs to actually get time to finish it, because having a 2-year-old is, by the time he goes to bed, we just want to go to bed.
Yes.
This is probably the longest I've stayed up in months.
Anybody that joins our group can also just reach out to any of the admins, or you really can just ask a question in the group, and it's like, hey, what do y'all do? We've had people do that, and
and if you don't personally want to just post on the page or the group, you can also just instant message us too on Facebook or Instagram. If you can find us in the Bowhunting Loop group, if you just search our names, you can ask us too.
Right.
Now you just gotta steal a Bowhunting League TikTok from Ben. I know he has one out there, but it's just he doesn't have the space for it.
Come on, Ben, hand it over.
The only downside is you can't post any animals you've harvested. I've gotten 4 strikes because of that.
Yes. Yeah. It's so hard, and you have to watch the coloring, and that is how people get away with it. But
you have to make it black and white.
Yeah, it's very difficult though, because then they still get you.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably anything we posted on TikTok would be comedy stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
we talked about some funny things that we would like to do. But.
Oh, for sure. That on that tattoo is being able to get a group of people that have the Bowhunting League merch, and then when they go to attack Mount Archery Fest, R100, getting those. Facebook seems to find that acceptable. That seems to be my driving force of me just grabbing a variety of my clips, putting an inspirational quote behind it, and then go from there. So it works. It just that's the only thing I know that would work inside of our niche, because it's I will warn everybody, do not post dead animals on TikTok, otherwise China will not like it. But oddly, it's so frustrating. But anyway.
Sometimes I can kind of see, because some people really are not tactful about that kind of stuff. They'll post pictures of animals just sitting there suffering and dying instead of going and putting them out, and that can look really bad on us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where for something like that, you'd have to have that media content come through your guys's and be edited and stuff and trimmed down with using InShot or CapCut to be able to trim that stuff out and just kind of work its magic. Because I've seen some really good videos where you could see the animal fall down, but you don't see the discharge or you don't see the arrow. So it's there's some really mirror magical behind that.
Yeah, for sure.
What can people expect from Bow Hunting League next?
So I know there's been a little bit of talk on changing how prizes are done. I know for like us, we're going to be, I do believe the Pennsylvania top sponsor. So we'll be distributing maybe not as big of prizes, but more prizes. So that way more people will feel included. That way it'll help drive more participation.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of the top 10 teams get this, and this, it'll possibly be up to like the top 100 teams or the top so many teams of each state that we can find a top sponsor of.
Right. Yeah.
That way,
And we have a lot more sponsors this year too. We've brought on
absolutely
a lot of new sponsors that we're really excited about. And I think a lot of our members are going to be really excited to see the gear that they put up for prizes.
I feel
Awesome.
like each year we are expanding and growing and getting bigger and trying to better ourselves and to get more participants. So good things to come for sure.
Yeah.
Great to hear.
That's as fast as we're growing. That's why Ben finally had to break down and bring a team in, because we're growing so fast and trying to keep up with all the moving parts is just, I don't see how he managed it by himself for a while. So
right.
I'm really
I
glad
don't know either.
I
really glad he
created
decided to bring us on.
Yeah, I created a spreadsheet of sponsors that have been reached out to and ones that declined and ones that have accepted. And I would say at least half of the list is 100% highlighted, accepted. I don't want to list any names because he hasn't 100% announced all of them yet. So
Yeah, because we still, like, even yesterday we were bringing on another one. So we're still
every
accepting
day
sponsors.
a new one is getting locked down, and each year we do this. Every day we do this. It's just getting better and better. All we can do is go up.
Yep.
It's a great attitude to have. I love it. Now, is there anything we haven't covered that you want to say before we close out?
I can't think of anything.
I think we've covered pretty much everything.
I think we did, honestly.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This was a great conversation. We came in at just over 90 minutes, so this is fantastic. Ladies, I want to say thank you for giving donating your time for me tonight. Lori, it was great meeting you. Rachel, Becca, I mean, you guys are all a powerhouse team here. And I have some things I want to go over, but like some of the sponsors, some of the people that I've had on my podcast, you may already have on the list, so I don't want to mention them just because you guys need to roll everything out on your own time frame, so this way then everybody can be prepared for it and such. And then is there anything in the works to have like a meet and greet at like a TAC event, a MAF event, or anything like that where you can get a lot of people together at a facility where you don't have to put up the upfront cost?
So we've actually discussed that a couple of times, and a lot of times that we do have people that meet up at TAC events, outdoor shows. I think Ben usually has quite a big group that shows up if he announces it ahead of time to each of those shows. And then we've talked about getting a work group together to meet up one day for all of us to kind of actually meet in person and have like a showdown, but just for people that work in the background. So
And we also have created a
Meetups.
thread on our Facebook of meetups. So anybody from wherever, if they have 3D shoots or any events, they post on there, and a lot of people look at that and will say, "Oh, well, I'm really close there," and people will plan to meet each other.
Perfect. And my next rollout it's an app. It's actually called the Toxon App. And what he has done is, Jeremy Fisher, he's been on my podcast several times, but what it is that he has shops or archery events or 3D events all across the country where you can actually do all that stuff. And I think I should probably put Jeremy and Ben together to figure out how we can work simultaneously to try to drive more traffic to it, because Jeremy's idea is to be able to get people to be part of it. But then if you guys could collaborate, make a pin drop for an upcoming event, man, that could really add an extra incentive to get people to show up. And then, hey, if you sign up and you found the event via Toxon App, well, here's a blank.
Right.
So this way you can give it away as a door prize, just to say, hey, it's working. The marketing's working.
Yeah,
I
that's a
know
really awesome idea.
Yeah. I know one that I haven't added yet is the IBO second leg of the Triple Crown. It's actually it's Franklin / Dempseytown area. But it is one of the big IBO shoots. So I know a lot of locals shoot it. A lot of people come in from out of town. I need to put it on that list, because that's where I've met a few of members of the Bowhunting League before. Those are the ones that actually came up to the trailer and asked if we were, while I was actually selling stuff for the shop. And one of my team, actually the same team member that runs that shoot, he has his own personal course, and I would love to set up like a shoot there. My issue is finding like lodging that isn't gonna break the bank.
Yeah, that is the difficult part.
Yeah, because literally right up the road is a great facility. It's just making sure they have the openings for enough people.
Right.
But that is an end goal that both Wayne and I would like to try and sort out, whether people bunk in other people's houses or something.
A lot of people in our group do that though. They'll just like we have meetups all the time in the group and like trade hunts and all that kind of stuff. But it would be cool to like start having like even state meetups or local meetups where you can meet anybody from Bowhunting League.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing here at my place. I open up the doors for people that are coming out of town that I want to have come to an HHA USA event. So this way, then they have a place to stay. It just if they can make the commitment to drive, well, then having that place to stay is one less burden, and that right there could save them anywhere between $100 to $150 for the night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Man, this has been a fantastic conversation, you three. I'm going to wrap it up here. So we've covered everything we want to talk about. Remember, there's a link tree in everybody. And plus, I'm always broadcasting about the Bowhunting League. The best part is it's pretty simple to find, bowhuntingleague.com. Go find their Instagram, their Facebook, and their website. You'll be good to go. And then, Wayne, it's up to you to get that YouTube.